You have disabled screen sharing.
I think that's the beginning of like 50% of our recording.
It says it's got screen sharing.
It's not what I'm seeing.
Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. This is ridiculous. Multiple participants can share stuff. Advanced sharing options. Hold on a second. There it is. My apologies. It's always set to only host and I gotta change it. So my apologies. So you should be able to do it now, Emily.
You guys see me now?
Yes.
See the presentation? All right. I'm going to drag my camera over here so I'm not looking over there and speaking over here. Okay, welcome to the Style of the Month. Porters and Stouts. So this month, I think I say this about every single style. This is one of my favorite beer styles. But this, like, I'm a huge fan of dark beers. Anybody who knows me, like my member profile is even a dark beer. So Porters and Stouts. Very quick history lesson. Why is a porter and stout a porter and stout? Porters originate in like pre-industrial revolution England. Dock workers, also known as porters, came to enjoy this one particular style. And the reason the style was being generated is because brewers had really expensive ingredients at the time. So they were kind of fudging the system by like lowering the ABV and lowering the amount of grain that went into it, but roasting the grain it made up for that decrease in ABVs with an increase in flavor. So that's why porter is called a porter. And then that branched off into two different substyles. So the lower gravity ones became like dark milds, and the higher gravity ones became stouts. Stouts are just a little bit extra in every kind of way except for alcohol. And then ultimately the reason that stouts became ubiquitous with Ireland is because of the First World War. Energy restrictions in Britain were not also imposed in Ireland. So the Irish people, they could continue to roast their malt and brew these wonderful styles, while the British could not, even though the dark malts and stuff still prevailed in England. So porters are, as I mentioned, they're the original origin of the style. They're always slightly roasted, but they're never burnt. And as you go down in the styles that are listed here, it gets a little bit more roasted and a little bit more burnt. And Baltic Porter is kind of the imperial example of the style. So English to pre-prohibition to American is getting a little bit more burnt, a little bit more coffee flavor, and a little bit more hops. And then the sweetness is decreasing as you go along that style. Stouts, if you flip back and forth between the two slides, once I post them, you'll see that stouts have, in general, a lower ABV, but a higher IBU, and the porters have the higher ABV, and that's consistent with the history of the style. So the Irish stouts really have a nice pronounced coffee flavor. This is like your Guinness, the quintessential example of that style. And the sweet stouts and oatmeal stouts are like your nutritious version of the styles. So sweet stouts, anybody who's lactose intolerant, please stay away from these. I learned the lesson the hard way by brewing 5 gallons of it, which I could not drink. And then oatmeal stouts are the other kind of nutritious example, where they add kind of an oily, slick, graininess to the style. And then Irish extra stouts are just a little bit more body, a little bit more hops, and a little bit more ABV than the Irish stout companion. We do have 2 very excellent examples in the recipe database. One of them is by Colin Green. Again, style that you will want to stay clear of if you're lactose intolerant, as given the name. And then the rye oatmeal stout is also a cold brew from back in the day when the club used to have meetings where we would brew at every single meeting. And this is one of the ones, December 2013, back before I was a member, but I think there's a couple people here who were members back then and who are in this picture. If you wanted to drink any of the porters and stouts, there's a lot of different examples. Not that many of them are local. In general, if you're looking for a local example of a porter, though, if you want to have a flavored porter, tons of stuff is available, like salted caramel porters and stuff like that. In addition to the ones that are posted here, there's also the Woodhouse Stout, which is an Irish stout, and that's what I'm going to be drinking next.
You might at least turn it off.
I've got the Henderson, which is not one of the examples listed in the styles here, but also a very good example of a stout. Next month, we're going to be heading again to the British Isles, English, Irish, and Scottish ales, as well as one Australian style thrown in for the mix. And there's a couple examples on the recipe database of those as well. Two of them are award-winning beers, one of them by our Vice President Bear, and then Nick Hodowski with Scotty McScott Face, which has won many, many awards, and I can attest is very, very good. That's all I had for Style of the Month. My camera is completely out of focus, so I'm going to stop sharing and turn my camera off and try to fix that.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. I'm going to pause or stop recording.